Hi there. This time I get to talk about one of my other favorite authors. I've done other favorite authors before. This time I'm going to be taking a look at a new book that came in the mail today. I didn't buy it from the publisher. In fact, you ain't going to be able to find it on any publishers' listings that exist today. Anyway, I was on one of the Facebook groups, author groups. There was an F. Paul Wilson collecting group, a Dark Harvest publishers book collecting group, and I don't remember which one it was, but on one of them, a member made a post saying that he had some Dark Harvest books by F. Paul Wilson, Joe Lansdale, maybe somebody else I don't recall, and asked if anybody wanted a list of the books that were available. And being a collector of Dark Harvest books, a collector of F. Paul Wilson, Joe Lansdale, I definitely was interested. So I asked for the catalog, the books that were being offered, and sure enough, there were some books in there that I wanted, and one of them was at a price that I could not refuse. Now, I don't want to be sound too pessimistic or skeptic, but I kind of like to make sure I'm a little more careful, do some due diligence if I can before throwing money at somebody because I do hold a dollar dear. Now, I'd seen in the past that a friend of mine, Queso, on one of these Facebook forums had inquired about the person's books. So I sent him a Facebook message saying, "Hey, did you end up buying anything from this fella?" And he said, "Sure enough, I bought multiples, went very well, all was well." So I got back to the person making the offer and asked about a few books and ended up buying one. It wasn't a matter of his prices weren't fair or anything like that. It was just a matter of sometimes at certain points in your life when you look at a number and you've already thrown out a bunch of numbers on the same day already at other folks, the number is a little bit intimidating. So I just went for the one that I really, really wanted, and that's what I'm gonna be opening up today. Came in the mail, and hoping for the best. Really excited because not only is this an author that I collect, but it's an important book. Now, backing up a little bit, um, we're looking at a book today called NIGHTWORLD, and it's basically the grand finale for F. Paul Wilson's adversary cycle, Repairman Jack, essentially all of his secret histories of the world type books. They all culminate and end in NIGHTWORLD. NIGHTWORLD was written in the early 90s, and it was ending a series of books that he had written at that point. They called the Adversary Cycle, The Keep, The Tomb, The Touch, Reborn, Reprisal, and then finally NIGHTWORLD ends it up. And a lot of his other books would tie in somehow to it. Now after that, in 1992, I think is when he finished that series up with NIGHTWORLD. After that, 1998, 6 years later, he started with a sequel novel to The Tomb, featuring the character Repairman Jack, which so many people have grown to love, and spawned 15, 16, a bunch of teen books. And basically what he did was he filled the gap in the stories between The Tomb and NIGHTWORLD. Now, in order to make that work, he had to kind of go back and rewrite things because he didn't want to set all these Repairman Jack books he was writing in the late 90s or throughout the 2000s back into the 80s. So he wanted to set them in current time. He had to change some things, fudge some details and dates and such as that. And in the process, he also rewrote The Tomb. He rewrote Reborn, Reprisal, and NIGHTWORLD to account for all of the date changes as well as the new happenings and new events, new characters, new unravelings, if you will, that came throughout the Repairman Jack series. And then he came out with the final complete the final edition of NIGHTWORLD, and that would be represented in the Borderlands Press series with the NIGHTWORLD in that series. He had made some changes. I was one of the folks that waited for NIGHTWORLD. I wanted to wait till Repairman Jack was finished and then read NIGHTWORLD to close it all out, so I wouldn't know what was going to happen exactly. I don't know if that was a smart move or not, but that's what I did. And when I did that, I read the revised, the final version of NIGHTWORLD. And it all fit, it all flowed, it all made sense, and it was very good. Recently, maybe a year ago, I went back and read the first edition, first print, the beginning, the very first version of NIGHTWORLD. And I'm kind of torn on which one's better. If I could go back in time and had never read any of the Repairman Jack sequels, that first NIGHTWORLD was perfect. Now, it's hard to read all this stuff with new information, go back and then read a book that doesn't address any of that stuff, so it makes it hard. But going back and reading that first version of NIGHTWORLD, for the most part, I like the original version better. What I would say is, if you haven't read either one, pick one, read one, and then read the other. If you're a Repairman Jack fan, the new revised version puts Repairman Jack right smack in the middle of the final climactic battle scene. The original version uses Repairman Jack, among many other characters, to help get us to the end, but he's not really a part of that final battle. And so I think I like putting Repairman Jack in the mix at the end, but I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like the original story too. As I was reading through, most of the way through, I said I like this version better. Then when I got to the climax, I really missed my buddy Repairman Jack, one of my favorite characters in all of fiction and all of the world. Furthermore, when NIGHTWORLD was originally published, there was a Dark Harvest version. They did a trade version, a numbered signed version, and a lettered version. But it wasn't the true first print. The book was first released in the UK by New English Library, and this would be the true first print of NIGHTWORLD, New English Library version. It came out shortly. I don't remember the exact time. It came out shortly before the Dark Harvest versions, and here's my numbered Dark Harvest signed and limited version. I bought this book probably in 2002, 2003. It was a book I had to have. I had to have the tomb. That's, to me, for my collection, it's incomplete without the tomb. It starts, finishes with the tomb. For my book collection, that's the one for me. That's the book I was going to take. If I had to bail and I could take one book with me, I'm taking that Whispers Press signed and numbered version of the tomb. But here's my reprisal. Again, it finishes the story. What I got today in is a lettered version from Dark Harvest. I typically don't go for lettered versions. I find, in general, they come... most publishers, there's not much difference between lettered and numbered. Not much difference in terms of stuff that would make me want to shell out 2 or 3 times more money for that. So I've kind of stuck with numbered versions, and occasionally I'll go for lettered if the lettered gives me something that I want. For instance, if you buy a numbered book and you get a book that's signed and numbered, you get a lettered book and it comes with a slipcase or something cool like that, I might go for the lettered because I think it looks better on the shelf. I'm not a big fan of a tray case that's going to completely enclose the book, so you're looking on the shelf at a box and not a book. A lot of people love that. I prefer to see a book, so I like a slipcase book is my favorite way to display things. Dark Harvest did something a little bit different with theirs, and we're going to take a look at that now. So I'm going to open this up, and I haven't seen what's in here yet, so we're going to see what's in it as we get there and hope for the best. I don't want to open and have damage and make somebody look bad or be disappointed on camera, get derailed, anything like that. So we're really going to hope for the best here. And my buddy on Facebook did a great job of packaging this book. In fact, he packaged it so well with such good, strong, powerful tape, I might need a bigger knife to get to this, but we'll see what we can do. Repairman Jack and F. Paul Wilson it's another one of those interesting stories where I fell into this author, really getting savage on it here, where I stumbled into this author through a abnormal series of events, surfing around on the internet, reading about wrestling, and somebody says, hey, I read F. Paul Wilson and the tomb is awesome, you ought to check it out. So I did. And needless to say, I think from the first few paragraphs of the book, I was mouth watering. I couldn't get it fast enough. I couldn't read enough, and I loved that original version of the tomb. All right, so my good friend here wrapped it in bubble tape. He sealed the box up real good with some tape, some never cut tape, some kind of stuff that you want to protect your valuables. That's the stuff you use. It doesn't cut, it doesn't tear, it doesn't break, it doesn't do anything. But I showed you the numbered version of Night World, and one of the differences in the lettered is, I don't know if you'd want to call it a slip case or a slip crate. You could almost bury somebody in this thing. It is wood, it is heavy, it is hard. I don't know what it is, but knock on wood. It ain't cardboard, Dallas. Now, most of the time when I've seen these Dark Harvest lettered editions displayed in people's collections, they didn't come with a dust jacket. Can anybody out there tell me, anybody that bought Dark Harvest books new in the late 80s or early 90s from Dark Harvest, when you bought your lettered editions, did they come with dust jackets? This one's got a dust jacket, but I typically see them on display without. So we'll take this book out. Nice. This tray crate, slip crate. Awesome. It's the first one I've ever gotten, and it'll go nicely on them shelves there, back there. All right, so typically when you see one of these books displayed, they're displayed without the dust jacket. So I'll give you that effect first of all. See what you typically will see on a Dark Harvest collector's shelf. You'll usually see a book displayed something like that. Honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I love dust jackets, man. I love the way a dust jacket looks. So I might display it with or without. Who knows? I might display it with and then without and then with. We'll figure something out. Probably what's gonna happen is my wife's gonna come in here, look at these shelves and say, ooh, what's that? And then she'll give me some advice and I'll either take it or not take it. Speaking of my wife, I gotta hurry because I got some dishes to do. She says the dishes won't do themselves. Looks like I'm dish boy today. Anyway, the lettered version of Night World from Dark Harvest. Let's see what we got here. This one is signed with a Sharpie, and it's the letter B as in Bubba. So Bubba got him a new book. I can't say that I'm disappointed in any way. I like this book, glad to have it on the shelf, and at some point I might end up with some more lettered versions of Dark Harvest books. That Dark Harvest made a lot of books from a lot of authors that I really like, and I've got most all of the numbered editions that I would want. There's others I don't have, either because they're the price is too high and I am not wanting to pay prices that I've seen and what have you, but I'll probably end up with more. As of right now, I'm somewhat satisfied with my Dark Harvest collection. If you want to take a look at some Dark Harvest books, there's a Dark Harvest group on Facebook where you see a variety of stuff. I posted some of the books that I've got on there, and others have posted some pretty doggone cool stuff on there as well. Anyway, I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but time is up. Dishes won't do themselves. Papa's got to earn that loving from Mama. Anyway, c'est la vie. I'm out. Thank you very much. Goodbye, good night, and